Hello everyone and welcome to the Williamson County Sports Connection. I'm Jack Daniels, your host, and with me for today's segment is the head volleyball coach at Summit High School, Warne Riker. Coach, welcome to the show.
Thank you, thank you.
Well, let's start our show with just, since you're new to the Williamson County, basically last year's your first year, tell us about yourself, where you grew up and went to school, and just everything about you.
Sure. Well, I grew up upstate New York, played ball in college up there, moved to the south, I should say, moved to Tennessee in Nashville in '96. Started teaching in Metro, started coaching, and I started officiating. I actually officiated college volleyball for approximately 8 years.
Oh, okay.
And then coached the high school level and the club level at the same time. So I've been coaching in Tennessee since '96.
Okay. Now, you said upstate New York. Does New Yorkers divide the state in New York City and upstate?
Yeah.
I mean, how's that?
There's New York State and there's New York City. And so when you say you're from New York, everybody's like, oh, from the city. I'm 6 hours from there.
Okay, so that's why the upstate New York is puts you in that.
Yeah, I grew up south of Buffalo in the snow belt.
Oh, no.
Oh, yeah. A lot of snow.
What was some of the biggest snows you ever had up in
there was one weekend where I remember we had 90 inches in a weekend.
Of course, you know, since you've been in Tennessee since '96.
Oh yeah.
What would that do? What would that do to us down here?
Remember the flood?
Yeah.
It's. I mean, we're used to it back home, but down here, you just don't have the equipment to do anything with it. So.
Right. So, Coach, you've been in the area since '96. Have you been involved a lot in club volleyballs in our community?
Yes. As soon as I started here in '96, I started coaching for a club called Music City. They were around for a couple of years, and after that, I went to another club with Jay Goldstein at Impact, and he did a lot for the area with the growth of volleyball. Mm-hmm. And since then, a couple other clubs.
Okay. So before you come to Summit last year, what school were you at?
Pearl-Cohn.
Pearl-Cohn, and you were teaching art?
Yeah, teaching art and photography there.
Okay, and coaching volleyball.
Yeah.
Now, I know it's got to be a little bit different coaching volleyball at an inner city school versus at a suburban school, in that the girls in which do you have a lot of participation?
The first year that I was there, I struggled to get 6.
Oh, did you?
But it didn't take long. The following year, I think I had 30 try out.
Oh, great.
I mean, kids are kids whatever school you're going to be at.
Right.
You're going to have your challenges. I had the kids who wanted to play. It was just, a different challenge, things to deal with, but they're still kids.
Right. So that's what I was getting into as far as doing tryouts. So you have to do tryouts now where you have to have cuts and, that kind of thing.
Yeah, well, that time when I had 30 trying out, I needed to do cuts.
Yeah.
At Summit, being brand new school, we really didn't have to do cuts the first year. This year, maybe a couple. I see the growth happening next year where we'll definitely have to.
Right. Well, let's talk about last season, how you guys did, and whatever type of problems comes along with starting a brand new program like Summit High School.
Well, we did well. We finished at 500 in our district. We were really our biggest challenge was Page High School, as everybody knows. They're the state champions, and rightfully so. They're good kids on that team, and they're the only team in our district that really put us out 3-0 every time we played them, but best of 5. Everybody else we took a set off of, so we were in every match that we've ever played. And this year we're looking to do the same. Some of the things that we struggled with last year, as a new school, only having the freshman and sophomore classes.
Right.
They don't have the leadership to look up to. Suddenly they are the leaders. And towards the end of the year, that discipline started to break down. They didn't have somebody to turn to help them, and that kind of hurt.
Right.
But it was a learning experience as well, and you can see this year already they've grown from that, which is great.
Last year, when you played a varsity, did you also play a JV schedule last year also?
Yeah. We had 13 players last year, and we played both JV and varsity schedule.
Okay.
And so a few of them obviously played both.
Now, in our area, do they have freshman volleyball, or is it just varsity JV?
They do. There's it's sporadic schools around the area that have a freshman program going on. There's not a lot of focus onto it. I'm hoping that the growth of our school and some others that we'll get a better focus going on with the 9th grade programs. It's difficult. This year I thought about putting in a 9th grade program because I had such a flux of girls coming in to try out. I mean, I had over 20 girls trying out just this year alone. And with 13 of them coming back from last year, you know, that just tells you how many more freshmen I had coming in. And we still couldn't come up with a 9th grade program, a JV program, and a varsity program at the same time. So we're still doing the JV varsity. Right. And then hopefully next year we'll have enough.
Now, gym space for you at Summit with 2 gyms, that's probably not going to be a problem with you as far as your practice times. You'd be able to accommodate all 3 of those teams. Because your varsity JV probably practices 1 unit, but you freshmen, I'm assuming, would have their own.
Yeah, freshmen, we have the 2 gyms. It was great. And the main gym, we have 2 courts. So we can split that up right now as we do. JV practice on 1 court, and I work with the varsity on the other court.
Okay.
And then, yeah,
you guys have the divider, right?
Yeah, and we're using it. It's great.
Oh, yeah. Gives you a lot more space to accommodate both those areas for you. So last year, you were 57-7, you said?
Pretty much, yes.
Then so you guys had a district tournament. So how many teams moved out of the district into the next round?
Well, 2 teams pulled out of the district, so that was Spring Hill and Page.
Okay.
And they moved on.
All right.
And then Page eventually won.
Of course, Page won the state championship again. So you're in District 12 AA, which the way I'm hearing everything, as far as this is probably the last year of that.
For us it is,
yeah. Because it's going to be about an all Williamson County district. Next year, you're probably District 11 AAA. Every school in the county would be there except for Fairview and Page. So all the big guys, I mean, the ones who win the state championships at the AAA level have come out of that district. How do you feel about that, Coach?
I'm ready. You know, our girls are ready too. They're more than excited to play. I've been holding back right now, trying to play anybody. We have played Franklin and done extremely well against them. We played Hillsborough, although I believe they're not going to be in the district next year. But we beat Hillsborough this year. As far as the Centennial and Brentwoods and the Ravenwood, we're holding off on that one until next year.
Okay.
But we'll be fine. I see us jumping right into it, into the middle of the pack.
Okay. All right. So let's talk about this season, this group of kids. So about at this time where we're at right now, how many games are you already into your season right now?
Since the season started, we just finished our 12th match last night. We're 7-5. We're doing well. We had a tournament this last weekend where we kind of just ran out of steam. We're in the gold bracket out of 30 teams and finished 10th out of 30, which is I'm totally elated about.
Right, right.
And then last night we played Oakland and Hendersonville, and went both of them. So,
well, as far as District 12 AA, who besides Page? I know Page is probably going to still be pretty good. I don't think they can be as good as what they have been maybe the last 2 years, because I think Molly has left.
Yeah, Molly. It hurts them losing Molly, but Jess is a good coach over there. She's going to do a good job. So those girls will be ready. Spring Hill is the next challenge. We have them this week as well. And then I heard from some of the other coaches that Hickman's doing pretty well. So
okay.
We'll see.
All right. So there's a possibility that we could see Summit High School and Page High School in the district championship game, moving on to the region.
I'm a little superstitious.
You want to take one game at a time, Coach?
One game at a time.
I understand. I understand. So as you go into starting out the year, you know, we talked about tryouts before, but if you got to that point where you had so many girls come out for volleyball that, hey, we're going to have to do cuts, can't accommodate everybody. What are some of the things that you look for in an athlete as far as, you know, their skills in order to make a volleyball team?
Well, I mean, you have your athleticism. That's just granted. But if I have an equal number of athletes, you know, the next one is just that leadership. and how can they work with the other girls? Do they get along with everybody else? You know, does that all the chemistry fit? You know, and that's key. You know, coming from Metro, I had a tremendous amount of athletes, and I can work with that. So let's, you know, hopefully work all together. You know, the leadership, being able to support one another on and off the court, extremely important. So.
Well, Coach, let's talk about some of your key players that you have on your team this year. I know you.
Do
just
we have
juniors.
enough time for that?
Oh yeah, we got plenty of time. Just get into that now.
Well, we're still young. We have 2 juniors, and Bailey Culpepper is our leading junior for libero, and she's good. When she's on, she's on. She's probably one of the better liberos I've ever seen at her age. You know, my wife played at the University of Illinois, and we both say the same thing.
Well, just stop right here for libero.
That's the defensive specialists that, you know, they play the back row. So
and that's all they play.
That's all they play, and they're good at it. So
and so
that's their specialty. So you have your setters who that's their specialty is kind of be the quarterback of the team. You have your hitters. She's a defensive specialist.
She never goes to the front.
Never. Well, she wants to, but she never goes.
I mean, but so when she lines up, she stays in the back.
Yep.
And that's where she get to serve.
Yeah.
That person
she
does get to serve.
Yes.
So I thought you was on a rotation where you got to rotate to the front.
When the player that she's in for rotates to the front, she has to come out. But the way the libero works is she can go back in for the next player. So the way her rotation runs is she runs for the middle. So when the middle comes back to serve, depending on, because she can only serve one time. So if the middle comes back, Bailey will go out. And then once that dead ball happens or side out, then Bailey will come back in for that girl. And so when the other middle rotates around, she'll serve for that one. So she stays in, but she just stays in for the back row.
Okay. So what type of rotations do you have for your other players then? I mean, can they come in and out at any time? How's it work in volleyball? Football, we can just run them in.
Right.
I mean, we just throw them in, you know, at any time, 5, 6 at a time.
I wish, yeah. Well, you know, some of the girls do play all the way around. Others, I sub in and out. When one girl subs in, we'll just say, we'll use you, Jack, for an example. If you're an outside hitter, but you don't play the back row very strongly, so I sub in for you when it's your turn to come to the back row. And so I'll play your back row, and then when it's time for you to go back in the front, we'll sub out again. But that's it. You know, we're partners. We can't go in for anybody else.
Okay. So now I'm going to get on the terminology here. And I'm an outside hitter.
Yes.
So that means I'm a person who spikes the ball?
Correct.
Okay. Because, you know, when I played volleyball in PE classes, it was all about spiking the ball.
Everybody can hit the ball. Right.
And that's what you call an outside hitter.
Yeah.
So, okay, who are some of your outside hitters then?
Anna Rash and Ashley Hasselbauer are main outside hitters. Some of the other girls can play that position too, but those are the ones we use right now. And then our middles are Kirby Bennett, Theone, I can't pronounce her last name. It starts with an R.
Yeah.
And then our right sides are Kyra Boots and Haley Corbett.
Okay.
So we'll switch them in and out.
All right. So I'm trying to pick up on all the different positions in volleyball. I know we got 6 out there. You know, my volleyball experience, being an athletic director at high schools, sometimes you have to step in if a coach is not going to be able to be there. And I was at Page, and I had to step in at a junior varsity all-day tournament at Franklin as the volleyball coach. Thank goodness I had a mom who was very organized and knew what was going on and was there with me during that day. It was a long, long day. But that was about the most of my experience in the volleyball part of it. But as far as the strategies that go involved, are you a more offensive guy or a defensive guy? Kind of break that down for me.
That's a good question. You know, well, being so young as we are, you know, 50% of our varsity team is freshmen, and so defense is our specialty. You know, defense will win any game. I think that follows with football, baseball, every sport. You have to be defensively sound. before he can be offensively. So we've been focusing quite a bit on our defense, and it's been holding up. We had a hard match against Loretto, who I believe has been picked to be the single-A state champions this year, and they proved it. We went 5 sets with them, and they had some heavy hitters, and we stuck with them the whole way, digging the balls left and right, putting them right back at them, and just trying to get them out of system. You know, I have a big thing with the girls where I talk about mistakes and errors. There's 2 different things. You can make mistakes, and I'm okay with making mistakes. Go out there and play as hard as you can and make mistakes. Don't be afraid of that. But don't make errors. And the errors is just a lack of focus. And so
if I'm a coach and I'm a defensive coach, and I'm going to structure my first part of my practice, what type of drills and stuff am I going to lay out here for a defensive practice for my girls volleyball team?
Well,
I'm getting down to some technical
You're really
stuff
getting down
here.
to technical stuff.
Yeah.
We need to see what your girls can do. You know, our girls are learning different rotations on the floor, different defensive rotations, and there's a couple of them. And they're trying to just balance that floor out right now between them, all 6 of them. You know, who's going to cover which direction and which hit, where that ball is going to go, how do they move when it's a free ball, you know, and the responsibilities that they have on that floor. But we're trying to keep it all even and not just one player take control.
So I'm talking about just a specific drill itself, because I know if I'm at the back and I'm serving, that's an offensive thing. But what is drills that are just for a defense? Would it be, because I'm going back to a game I watched. Did you watch the Olympics?
Sure.
When are we going to get boys volleyball in high school?
You know, that's the next question I can ask you right now on air, because we were talking about it. I have a number of boys who want to play.
Yeah.
A number. And so
Does any states have boys
oh yeah.
volleyball?
If you go up north, you go out west, it's more common than girls.
Really?
Yeah. In fact, when I moved here in '96, that was one of the things I noticed, that volleyball wasn't very strong. But with the growth of a lot of our club programs in this area, it's now becoming more known in here and more accepted, I should say. Girls didn't play volleyball that much when I moved here, and it's going straight up. But next would be getting the boys.
Yeah, when would the season be?
Yeah.
Would it be like soccer in high school, where the girls play in the fall and the boys play in the springtime? I mean, I don't know how you'd even do your gym space on.
I would see that the boys would play in the spring. That's how I would do it. And I spoke with a couple other coaches that, you know, hey, let's try to start up an intramural program, get some interest going between the area high schools. And they all love it. They all want to do it. So we'll see. But
well, I mean,
the interest is there.
Yeah.
We've had I didn't mean to interrupt, but you know, one of our club in the area, one of the clubs in the area had a boys team, and a couple of those boys went pretty far. Full rides to college. They made
Really?
the junior Olympic team. Oh yeah.
See, does the SEC have boys volleyball?
Oh yeah.
I have never paid any attention. I know that they have the girls volleyball, and all you see that I can remember is the Penn State's winning the volleyballs here in the last few years.
A lot of colleges don't have the men's teams. Out west, they really do a lot. You know, but most of the colleges, like my college, we had a club team, and so we played club team, and we traveled all over. It's the same as intramural, but you know, I don't get the scholarships for it.
Sure, sure. So, but the SEC doesn't have scholarship volleyball. Then it's more of a club volleyball then probably.
I'd have to research the men's side of it. I'm not sure, but I mean, there's still a lot of programs around that have men's ball.
That's interesting. But the procedure, as far as getting it implemented in the state of Tennessee, is some school making a written request into TSSAA.
Let's start.
Requesting that boys volleyball become a sport in the state of Tennessee. And then I definitely have need some guidelines in which being in the springtime would probably work, and the other things that would go along with that. But isn't the club or the AAU volleyball, isn't that big in the springtime?
It's extremely large for the girls. There, a couple of the clubs have tried doing some boys, and they have had a few teams, but the interest really starts in the high school level. If I can start making an intramural program, and Paige starts making a little program, Centennial, Independence, all these schools in the area start having some interest where the boys play, because right now they just get shot down. You know, if a boy comes to me and says, hey, I want to play, I'm sorry. That's why I tell them, I can't help you. But if we can start these programs up, then the next thing you know, these clubs are going to be full with boys.
Well, that's very interesting. I'm sure that that's something maybe we ought to look into our own, even into our own county, as maybe trying to get some inter-county spring boys volleyball going. Definitely, I think you guys wouldn't have any problem filling the team out
Would
there.
not have a problem. And it's another great avenue for these kids, you know, to get involved and play other sports, and for some of them who, you know, are looking to get that athletic scholarship into school. You know, if basketball is not the answer for them,
sure,
volleyball. I'm going to tell you right now, it's a lot easier to get a volleyball scholarship than it is a basketball one.
Oh, I could see that. I could see that. But I was noticing that the men's teams at that Dadgum Olympics, all those guys, they're like 6'7", 6. I mean,
they're good.
I mean, and they're all tall. And you know, I was amazed at their athletic ability and what they could do. Some of the rallies they had with the balls going just amazes me. You know, that'd be something we can talk about and hopefully work on. So your girls specifically, after their season is over, I know the AAA state probably ends up maybe like the middle of October.
Yeah.
Something like that. And then boom, are they straight right into AAU volleyball?
In the travel season?
Travel season?
Most travel teams start up November. End of November is when the talk really starts happening. Then there's some tryouts in December. Then they have that off until January. Some of the more elite teams will usually maybe try to do a little practicing before. But they have, for the most part, Christmas is off, and then they start right up right after Christmas. And it's, you know, some teams will practice 3 days a week and travel on the weekends.
When you say a travel team, are they not? Are they associated though with a organization, a nonprofit organization, or?
Sure, it's the same way. It's the same. The club teams, the AAU teams, we call them travel teams because that's what they do. So, you know, we'll travel as far as Indianapolis and play down to Georgia, Atlanta, quite a bit, Kentucky. So,
is this teams in which kids have to be invited to come and try out on, or is it teams in which girls go to try out and either make the team? I mean, how's that work?
It's a club team, so anybody can go and try out. If you make the team, most teams take 10 girls. So if you can make the team, and then you're good to go. So it's open to everybody.
Okay. So here back at Summit, 6 girls play. Do you just carry 10 girls like when you go to a away game? Is that how you kind of keep it, or do you go to 12? I mean, how do coaches do that here at the high school level?
I like to have 12, a solid 12. You know, I like to have that depth on the field because there are days where someone's not feeling well. You know, even tonight, our game tonight, I have an athlete who's out because she's sick, and so I need someone else to fill that. You know, but having that depth is really good when somebody's having, you know, being tired or mentally not in the game. You know, we can just kind of switch on and off, or I can talk to them a little bit. You know, bring them out and show them some of the things that they're doing a little bit wrong. Check, you know, some techniques. You know, throw them back in. So I like to keep 12. Being young the way I at Summit, 12's hard to get.
Okay. Well, being an old high school football coach for many years, I always loved trick plays. Do they have trick plays in volleyball?
Sure, we have trick plays. We're still trying to learn some of them right now.
What's an example of a trick play, Coach?
Well, the trick play for us, the real basic ones would be where the middle, we call it a slide. So the middle would attempt to run towards the middle of the court to hit like a quick ball, a 2-set, you know, something in the middle.
Okay.
And then she turns and goes to the outside or the right side and runs a slide. So it's, you know, it's an example of a basketball layup. She comes out, leads off with the left foot, and then turns across her body and hits it down. Okay. And so if she goes that way, then the right side would come into the middle. And so that little X right there can be sort of a trick. Some of the other plays we run is the middle would run halfway to the outside, and the outside would come in behind her. And so the ball would be set over her head off the net. So the defense looks like she's hitting the ball, but she doesn't. And then the girl behind her jumps up and hits the ball.
Now, is the only situation in which a girl can hit it twice is if she's blocking?
Correct. She blocks the ball and goes straight up, and then she can play it again.
And she can spike it right
She can hit it right back if she wants to, yeah.
Yeah, but that's probably not normal. Probably
I don't recommend it. No.
Yeah, they could serve it, or not serve it, but bump it over to another player, and they could bump it back, and she could spike it back.
Right.
On that kind of thing. Is it a standard? If I'm an offensive-minded coach, that's the way we want to do it. We want 3 hits on the ball each time.
It depends on the situation. You know, if it's a free ball, what we say is an out-of-system play. If the other team, you know, they weren't able to set it up and spike it right at you. They ended up sending a free ball over, which is good because they were a little bit out of system. I like to try to run something much quicker. And sometimes that happens where the setter is going to hit the ball over in the second hit or the second contact. Or they're going to try to set something low and fast so that we can get them while they're still out of system trying to regroup. If we do something where it takes 3 contacts and it's a real high pass, real high set, then they're able to regroup and get their defense set.
Just how important is the serve? Does it
900 square feet.
So the most important thing is putting it in the area you want to put it in. It don't have to be real, you know, like a bullet type. I see these girls jump up in the air and they hit it like a, you know.
I mean,
is that the most important thing?
It is important because if you can't score on the serve or you can't get the serve in, you're not getting any points. You're giving it right back to them. And so with rally scoring, it can happen real fast. But it's important to get that ball in. I'm a big fan of the aggressive serve, not just the lollipop serve.
Okay.
Just try not to serve right to the girl, make it an easy pass. Make her move left or right. You know, make her try to miss that ball, but make her go after that ball.
Now, you talked about rally scoring. Explain that real quick, Coach.
Every time that ball sides out, every time the ball goes out of bounds, every time there's an error, every time there's a point for somebody. So if you serve the ball out, it's a point for me.
Yeah. Long time ago, it used to be you had to have the ball to win.
Right. Those games.
They become long games because people just went back. So the rally serves go to 25 points.
Yes.
And then if it goes, what, 2 games apiece, well, 5th game is a what?
5th game is 15.
15-point game.
Yeah.
And is that a 2-point
win? By 2. Yeah. We've had a few that go 30 to 28. We had one 31-29 this weekend.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah.
Yeah. So the longest game you've been in as far as Summit would be?
This weekend at 31-29. That was a long one.
And that was with
it was a nail biter. I really couldn't remember who it was with.
Okay, it's the tournament type
thing. Yeah, it was
one
of a lot of games. But it was one of those where we need to finish. And eventually we did. But the girls have fought hard. We've had some good ones. Last night we were down 19-9. They stayed focused, came back to win it.
Oh, good.
So they're doing well. They're doing real well.
Well, Coach, I appreciate you being with us today, and best of luck out there at Summit.
Thank you.
Dr. Farmer, I think the world of him. I think he's
a great guy.
Great principal, and best of luck to the lady volleyball players out there at Summit High School. Again, thank you for joining us for the Williamson County Sports Connection. I'm Jack Daniels, your host.